I'm actually writing a new book at the moment. It's a novel. Yeah, it's going to be shit. I never get any phone calls except for from robots trying to sell me shit, so I'm sure I'll get about 18 of them during this.
What music did you listen to as a kid?
Adam and the Ants, Shaking Stevens, just, shit, really. Madness, which aren't shit. Whatever was in the charts, because you don't know any better, do you?
So who was your first music idol?
Probably Ice-T. I liked other music, but it wasn't until I saw Breakdance the movie and saw a big strapping black man wearing leathers that I started being into any sort of music, really. Ice-T was the first person I heard, doing rap and stuff, and I was just like, that's amazing, because all I'd heard before that was just total crap, like Shaking Stevens.
Tell us about your first trip to Labyrinth at the Four Aces.
Oh, man. I don't know how much of it is a memory or how much of it is made up. But I was dragged there by somebody I really didn't like, and I had nothing better to do. And I distinctly remember I had, army pants on, because I was a skater, so I just wore, baggy pants and stuff. And one of his friends said, oh, you don't want to go to Labyrinth wearing that stuff? And I was, really paranoid about it, so I went home and got changed. But I had not thought, because I was into hip hop and hip hop's so arrogant, I had not really liked. I saw the ravers coming home from the shop I worked at, skate shop, and I'd see them coming home in the morning, just be like, look at those fucking idiots, all dressed in purple and all spazzed out and that, because that's what people did, wasn't it? Those weird purple clothes. And then of course I went to Labyrinth, and I was like, this is the most amazing thing ever. Why haven't I been doing this all this time? And so it was like a absolute conversion from being totally into hip-hop to not listening to hip-hop at all and just going out and buying rave music. There was no gradually getting into it. It was one night at Labyrinth and then I was in, Yeah, it was an amazing night. I distinctly remember the first tune I heard was Quadrophenia. And I still love that to this day. For me, it brings up an instant memory of being on the main floor in Labyrinth and looking up and seeing the DJ playing, and the crowd was just starting to build up.
Did you manage to last until we finished?
Yeah, I think so, although I don't do that very often. I never have. I get bored. After a couple of hours I get bored. It doesn't matter how good the party is, I just get bored and want to go home and read a book. I know that's sad, but there I am. I remember one time going into Labyrinth, and as I came in, they were checking through my stuff, and I had a copy of Lord of the Rings with me, one of the books, and they were like, why are you bringing a book? And I was like, if I get bored, I'll go out in the garden and read.
That's probably the only time a book's actually set foot in that club, I reckon.
Yeah.
Probably. Kind of an appropriate book, though. I mean, everyone looked like elves or trolls by the end of the night anyway, so...
Alright, what is your favourite Kniteforce related moment or memory?
I've watched the other interviews and I heard you ask them, and I didn't even think to try and get my own interview answers ready. I don't know. One of my fondest is when, before the actual release was done, we all were in my room at my mum's house where we all used to hang out, and there was 8 or 9 of us, and we were just trying to get the logo together. And there was a real nice sense of excitement and camaraderie between everyone, and some of the people that were there didn't go on to really be much involved with Kniteforce, like Brad and Becky Try, who originally did the artwork, and Claudia, who helped with the artwork. And it was just a really nice feeling. I remember having all the different designs scattered around on the floor and everyone putting their bit in, Spence and Joe and everyone, and just saying, well, what if we did this and what if we did that? That's one of my nicest memories, because it reminds me of when it was all new and exciting,
Give us a funny story about a Kniteforce member.
Because I'm terrible with names and faces and pretty much everything except for music. I don't know what day it is today, for example. I don't remember shit. But when Paul first visited, I couldn't remember which one of them was called Paul. I knew one of them was called Paul, so I would say Paul to see who replied, and of course either of them would, because they were both called Paul. And that went on for about 3 months, where I was like, what's the other guy's name? So embarrassing, I can't keep asking. Yeah, that went on for a long time. I have a lot of trouble with names. One time my family all came to visit, and I've got quite a big family, and I had to introduce them all to my girlfriend. At the time, it was Christmas, and they were all visiting, and I was put right on the spot, and I couldn't remember half of the names of my uncles and aunts, and it was so embarrassing. It was excruciating. I was like, I think that's Uncle Mike. Oh, yeah, names are just, I can't do it. For someone who's got so many names, you'd think I'd be able to remember other people's, but I
That's
can't.
probably why you can't, because you've got too many of your own. I think that's what it is.
Maybe. I read somewhere that one of the reasons you have difficulty teaching people who are fundamental religious types is that all they do is read the Bible or the Quran, and if all you do is read that, you end up not having the space for other stuff, because they learn to recite it and stuff. And I just think I've done sort of a similar thing with music. I can remember every sample and every breakbeat and all the lines to all rap music, but if you ask me my age, I might have to go and look it up.
What is your favourite Kniteforce tune made by yourself?
Well, I don't like most of the stuff I make. I mean, I like it when I'm making it, and then I finish it, and I'm totally bored of it, and then I don't even think of it. And sometimes somebody will play me something, and I won't even know I made it. Until I can hear that it's me, but I don't know what it is, or like why. At the moment, it's a remix I did for Shane Cyan and a track. We did a track together called Hideaway for KFA, and I did an old school remix of it, and it's on the Vinyl Is Better Too album, and I just think it's one of the best things I've ever done. So at the moment, that's probably my favourite track. But when I look back, I suppose End of an Era, that was a good one. I was pretty happy with that. Yeah, probably that and End of an Era, the first version on KF 40, sorry.
What is your favourite Kniteforce tune made by someone else?
I did think of this one, and that was really tricky. And I would probably say Let Yourself Go by DJ Ham. Or Thinking About You by Ham and Poozy. Because both of those tracks are like proper good hardcore and uplifting, but not cheesy and not obvious. But they give you that goose pimple thrill to hear. So yeah, they're probably two of my favourites.
Were you ever offered a tune for Kniteforce that you turned down, which ended up coming out elsewhere and became an anthem?
I wasn't exactly offered it, but there was a time when I could have had, or probably could have had, Toy Town on the label. And even better, I could have had Seal It Bang as well. But in both cases, I didn't push for it. I never do push for it. I can't be bothered. I know that sounds terrible, but I just think that I'm not really that concerned because I don't really care if it gets big or not. I'm more concerned with whatever I'm doing and what my friends are doing and if we're having a good time, which is not the best business plan. But, you know, I would hear these things and I'd be like, I'll put that out, and they'd be like, oh, I don't know. And I'd be like, well, if you don't know, I don't care. You know, like it's not that big a deal to me because I think maybe it's because I come from a group of people who had no talent and no musical experience whatsoever, and we just put stuff together how we wanted, and we ended up doing quite well. So when somebody comes in with something amazing, I just assume that anyone can do that, really, because we did. So, you know, so I don't feel any particular urge to go chasing after people, but I love it when something good comes along, I'll put it out, you know.
Why do you think Kniteforce has the biggest cult following of all hardcore labels of all time?
I'm not sure if it does, but it probably does, actually. I think because, one, we kind of didn't give a shit. Like, we wanted the label to do well, but that wasn't our priority. Our priority was just dicking about and having a good laugh. Two, we had a lot of in-jokes and silliness that we thought was funny, and then other people also thought that was funny, but we didn't know they'd find it funny, so... and three, I think because, it's going to sound pretentious, but as the years have gone by, I've realised I'm actually an artist, and that means I do things for weird reasons. Like, I would do the artwork on the albums and the records. I wanted to do sleeves just because I like doing sleeves. It wasn't, this will sell more. It was, this will be fun, we can do a picture of this, or what about this? And I think that sort of stuff resonates with people. They feel the purity of what you're doing. I know it sounds pretentious, but I just think that the honesty of your work is displayed in your work. No matter how hard you try. It's why when you hear pop music, you can often not be moved by it, because it doesn't matter how well written it is. If the person singing it doesn't mean it, you can pick that up on a subliminal level. You know that they didn't mean it. Whereas with Kniteforce, we meant everything we did, even when we were doing something stupid. So I think people pick up on that. Maybe not, but that's what I think. Okay,
during your career, is there anyone you didn't get to work with that you wish you had? And is there anyone you did work with that you wish you hadn't?
I notice everyone avoids the second one of those questions.
Yeah.
People I wished I worked with. I wish I'd have been a little bit more open, more than that. Like, a lot of the time artists would have come in, like Brisk and people like that. They came in and they had good ideas, and I was like, no, we're doing it my way. and I wish I hadn't have done that. Because I think, like Brisk should have been on Malice, for example, doing some Gabba stuff. He was into Gabba and he could have taken that label and done something really good with it. But I was too busy being stubborn and thinking I knew what I was doing all the time, or covering for that, you know? So there were people I didn't work with because I just thought I could do it better, which was just arrogance, really, and a bit foolish. So I think I could have done more with Brisk and, you know, that would have been better. As far as people I wish I hadn't worked with, I guess I wasn't happy with the way things turned out with Ramos and Supreme because the remix they did for me, I didn't feel it was very good, and I didn't actually get a copy of the DAT until I was actually booked to cut it, and they upped the price on me after agreeing a price, so I felt I was basically forced into a corner to pay for that remix, so I didn't enjoy working with them.
Okay, so where does Kniteforce go from here?
I don't know. But then I've never had a plan, which is another not good way of doing business. Right now, I'm rebooting the label and doing vinyl, and I'm just trying to get back to the sound that we originally did for the first 20 or so releases, where there was some dark stuff and some jungly stuff, and it was all breakbeat, and it was fun. It's quite hard to recapture that because you get old and you get cynical, and the amount of knowledge you have then ruins some things, you know? Like, it's hard to... It's hard to explain, but once you have a certain amount of knowledge, it's hard to make the mistakes that made those things good. Because mistakes often are the best bit of music, which is, I know it sounds stupid, but anybody who's been a musician will know that a lot of the best things they've come up with, they did by accident. A good example with Kniteforce would be the piano riff on KF32, the Future Primitive Feel It in the Air. The only reason that piano is so mental is because we had two different piano riffs and I accidentally dropped the Cubase file one on top of the other. So it's impossible to play piano riff because all the notes are playing double time and on top of each other. But it sounds amazing. And that's the sort of mistake I wouldn't make now because I'm more efficient and I don't accidentally drop massive bits of data onto other bits of data. But, you know, things like that, it's hard to recapture that stuff. But that's what my aim is, to take it back to the original sound with all the good and bad that comes with it.
Out of all your aliases, which is the most shit?
Tailbone, probably. What a load of wank that was.
Have you ever considered becoming a stand-up comedian?
I have, actually. But I think my sense of humour works best randomly. Like, I make myself laugh because sometimes I'll say things which I didn't know I was going to say. And I think you need to be a little bit better prepared than that to be a stand-up comedian. And also, I think... what's the phrase? That's the one job you do where if you mess it all up, no one laughs. And I just... It's embarrassing enough. When you have to DJ a gig and there's like 3 people there, that's just awful. Imagine going on stage and all you've got is you and your mouth and you say something and everyone just looks at you. Ooh, no.
Hang on. I've just noticed Chris has got the cursor of my mouse next to his ear.
What's the most ridiculous thing you've ever been caught doing?
Oh, I don't know. I know at school on my report card, Mum kept this one. She got a report from my teacher saying Chris would be much better in class if he wasn't lying on his back pretending to be a dog. Which is a fair enough statement, really.
What is the biggest mistake you have ever made?
With the label, it's not managing the finances properly, which is something I'm only really sorting out over the last few years. Which is a bit embarrassing and a bit sad. I just used to give people money, basically. They'd say, "Oh, I've earned any money," and I'd be like, "Yeah, here's some," because so much was coming in. I didn't want to get out a calculator and add stuff up, so I overpaid people and underpaid people and just generally bollocks that right up. So yeah, that's one of the bigger mistakes with the business.
Of all the celebrity deaths in 2016, which upset you the most?
Leonard Cohen. I know people who know me know that I really like him, but I actually cried. And it surprised me, and Cindy looked at me and went, "Seriously?" when I found out that he had died. But for someone who, I just thought his music and his poetry was touching and beautiful and like a guidance thing. And I was genuinely, shockingly upset that he died. Whereas normally I don't care, you know? Like Bowie died and I was like, alright. I recognised he was talented and stuff, but I didn't care, you know? None of them. I just don't really care. It's not, you know. But when Leonard Cohen died, I was really upset. How strange.
Kit Kick drum or breakbeat?
Breakbeat.
Iced tea or ice cube?
Iced tea probably, just because of history.
Vinyl or CD?
Vinyl.
6 days on the run or 6 days with your son?
6 days with my son. Don't even like 6 days particularly as a track. I mean, it's alright, but I've just heard it a million times, and every day with my son is a magical moment.
Public Enemy or David Bellamy?
Public Enemy, easily. They're one of my favourite bands/groups ever. Also, incidentally, if it wasn't for Public Enemy, I probably wouldn't be as liberal-minded or as so well-versed in how racism permeates our whole culture. I think people like Public Enemy, like people don't realise, they always say, oh yeah, Spike Lee and his movies made a difference. But for me, Public Enemy really opened my eyes to the culture that we live in and how racist and sexist and awful it is a lot of the time.
Pew, Pew, Barney McGrew, Cuthbert, Dibble or Grub?
Probably Barley McGrew, because it's such a nice word, isn't it? Barley McGrew. It's like Pebble or Bumble or something.
Dougal or Vibes?
Oh, that's a tough one, isn't it? Oh dear. Do I have to choose? I mean, one showed up in purple underpants when he answered the door, and the other wears a scarf when it's not cold. So, I don't know. I guess. Hey, you remember that question? You wish I could unsee something?
Yeah.
So we'll go back to Vibes answering the door in a pair of purple Y-fronts. That could be unseen. So I guess Dougal by default.
Piano progression or spirit possession?
Piano progression, because that's actually a real thing.
Christianity or bestiality?
Oh, I don't know which one's worse.
DJ Ham or prostate exam?
Well, DJ Ham, obviously. You're not going to, who would go, oh yeah, I'll have a prostate exam.
Presidential elections or awkward erections?
Well, I get awkward erections when there's presidential elections. So, either's fine.
Is the earth flat or round?
Round, I guess. I mean, you can never really know anything for sure, can you? You can only assume that what you're being told is true.
How much to pinch a policeman's arse?
I don't know, because I might go to jail. I don't think there's nothing I want that badly with money that I would do that, I don't think. But I mean, if it's not money, if it was pinch a policeman's arse and suddenly the world is a much better place, then fine, yeah. But for 50 quid, no.
How much to run naked along Loughton High Road, clapping your hands and shouting, buy my records?
I would do that just for fun. No, I wouldn't. I don't think I could do it. I'm far too British. I'd be really embarrassed. It's not the naked thing. It would be that everybody would be disturbed and I'd be annoying people. You know? You don't want to do that when you're English. You're no, I'm sorry. I would be buy my records. Sorry, am I disturbing you? Sorry. You don't have to buy my records. Just ignore me. I'm fine.
Tell us why you think Bust an Old Jam is the bollocks.
Because it is. It's not a question of whether I think. When you have sell-out shows full of people that are really into the music and everyone has a good time, it's empirical evidence, not personal opinion. Look at that. Sounded smart for the last bit of it. I'm sure you'll edit that bit out.